All right, so there is a couple things I wanted to discuss before we get started. The first thing is Grubhub shut down my scheduling for blocks because they said I was abusing the system. I don't know, it's kind of like a long story, but basically they shut down my blocks, which basically gives you access to get orders when it's slow. It's like scheduling. They said I could still be active and get orders, but they shut down my blocks, so it's like my priority to get orders has lessened. And unless I talk to a representative, then, you know, it's basically permanent. However, I guess a lot of people, they get this and, you know, they talk to a representative, they get their blocks back. It's only been a couple days, and they said they're going to send me an email to let me know when or if I get my blocks back. So I'm just waiting on that email. That kind of brings me to the other subject I want to discuss, which is basically, you know, these apps are pretty manipulative, especially when it's slow. And let me try to briefly describe this. I have before, but I just kind of want to describe this again. So, for instance, DoorDash has this thing called Top Dasher, where you get priority for high-paying orders if you become a Top Dasher. And the only way you become a Top Dasher is if you have like high acceptance ratings, which means you accept like more orders than you decline. And in this instance, they want at least 70% of the orders you accept. However, that's an issue because a lot of the orders you get from these apps are like not even worth it in the slightest. Like, I'm talking about like $3-4 orders for miles on end. You're practically wasting time out here making less than minimum wage if you take those orders. So anyone with their right mind would decline those orders. So what they're trying to do, these apps, you know, they want you to take all these orders because it's more money for them and it makes their customers happier. So they're trying every tactic in the book, especially when it's slow, to get people to take these shitty ass orders. We're not employed by these companies. We're quote unquote independent contractors. And the reason we are, it gives the companies an excuse not to pay like all the employee benefits and all the other shit. So it saves the company money. You know, they don't have to make us employers. They can make us independent contractors. So we pay our own fucking taxes and all that bullshit. So it's a way for them to save money. And now on top of that, they're trying to manipulate independent contractors to take orders as if we were employees. They're trying to make us take blocks. In other words, they're trying to give us schedules like a regular fucking job. So it's pretty manipulative. If we're independent contractors and you're forcing us to take orders that we haven't assigned to, that we haven't agreed upon as independent contractors, you're forcing us to take orders, or we're not going to get orders at all. That's basically what Top Dasher is. It's a debate in some cities because other Dashers, they don't notice this Top Dasher thing. Here in Manhattan, people notice the Top Dasher, how it's affecting people, because I've had plenty of evidence that say that that's actually going on to where I'm not getting priority orders because I'm not meeting their standards of acceptance. I'm not a quote unquote Top Dasher. For instance, I'll be by someone who else is dashing on DoorDash and they'll get an order before me almost always, likely because their stats are higher than mine. I've seen it multiple times, and then right after they decline it, then they'll come to me because I'm the next in line, basically, kind of thing. And the other evidence is DoorDash has a market that's bigger than Uber, and Uber's been consistent. I've been getting orders left and right with Uber, but not DoorDash. It's literally skipping over me and going to other Dashers, right? So I'm not seeing orders. And now, why do other people in other cities say, you know, Top Dasher is a scam? It's not really going on. It's because their market isn't like our market. My market's not like their market. For instance, you know, this is speculative on my part, but I know for a fact here in the city in Manhattan, there is a lot of drivers on e-bikes. Like, it feels like it's way oversaturated. If you look around, you will see so many drivers on e-bikes. So that's kind of a question, is the market slow or is it just oversaturated? I think it's a combination of both. One, it's the summer. You know, students were gone for months on end. People are on vacation, all that other stuff. There's less people in the city. People are going out to dine instead of ordering in, so there's less demand, so it's slower. On top of that, it's probably oversaturated with people, as seen by all these bikers and stuff like that. So, you know, it's dependent on every market. And on top of that, DoorDash is doing this Top Dasher thing. So when it is slow and it's oversaturated, now the people that aren't Top Dashers aren't seeing any orders. So that's one way DoorDash manipulates the system to get people to take shitty ass orders. Now, the way Grubhub does it is they make you schedule blocks or not get orders at all. Like, if you're not scheduled with Grubhub when it's slow, you're not going to see any orders. I mean, you might see one or two through an 8-hour shift, but that's it. And those are worth it, you know what I mean? So the way that they manipulate people to take shitty ass orders is by having them take their blocks and do high acceptance rate to even get blocks, because they have this priority thing where it's like, depending on your acceptance and stuff like that, just like DoorDash, you get priority on which blocks you prefer. And if you're in the last priority, which is called a partner, then you get third priority on picking blocks, which means if you don't have any blocks scheduled, you're not gonna get any orders when it's slow. So in other words, you have to have a high acceptance rate to get blocks, to be scheduled to get orders, and that's how they manipulate it. And to even further manipulate it, what Grubhub does, if you're scheduled and you're not taking orders when you're scheduled on their blocks, then they will straight up take your blocks away and give it to someone else. As shown in my recent experience where they've taken away my access to schedule myself to get blocks. In other words, they've taken away my access to block myself to get orders because I wasn't accepting enough orders. I'm not savvy enough to know the legality behind that because, you know, quote unquote, we're independent contractors, we pay our own taxes, we decide on every order. We shouldn't be penalized for not taking orders. It's like saying someone wants you to do a job, but you decline that job because it's not worth it. You know, you're not employed with them, you're an independent contractor. You choose each order and then you sign a contract and you make a contract upon each order to complete it or not, blah, 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 basically. So is it even right for them to manipulate which orders we take if we're independent contractors? That's highly manipulative. And honestly, it makes me resent these companies for doing that because they're trying to get us to take the shittiest orders when we're not employees. They're trying to treat us like employees when we're not employees. And then they punish us for not taking their shitty ass orders. You know, it's really manipulative, man. And that's the reason why I don't really respect and why I resent DoorDash. But now, after Grubhub did this to me, I kind of resent Grubhub. But anyway, I just wanted to say those two things and yeah, kind of get that off my chest.